It's great to experiment with new things, but sometimes the old-fashioned faulty things. So, at that point, I look back and I say, well, maybe things are even worse today than they were in the year 2000 on all these different levels. And so what's going on? Maybe what we've been doing is looking outside and trying to find solutions out there. And what spirituality has taught me is that everything begins inside. When there is peace inside, then I can contribute to peace outside. The preamble to the Charter of UNESCO states, wars begin in the minds of people, and the defences of peace lie therein. Even if I don't have bombs, even if I just have sticks and stones, if I have violence and hatred in my mind, I'm going to use those and make war. And if there can be 1,000 weapons, but I have peace in my heart, then I'm not going to touch the weaponry. I'm going to say, let me be an instrument of peace and share whatever peace I can. And so spirituality says everything starts in here, and then it gets expressed outside. And not only does it get expressed in one individual outside, but it actually then multiplies, and many committed individuals can bring about change. So if I think the world's going a little bit crazy, and I want to go along with it, well, let's see where it takes me. If I step aside a little, and I say, can I do something positive to bring about change, then I know that I have to start within. And so on one side I see darkness and a huge amount of negativity and things going haywire. But I look inside and I ask myself, well, what's going on inside of me? And I see a big jumble of thoughts. I see a little bit of chaos inside. And so can I begin in here and try and sort out the chaos inside here? And then maybe I'll be able to share something and do something constructive and creative outside also. How many of you agree with this, that things start inside? Good, I'm seeing a lot of nods and a few hands up. And so if things begin in here, then can I sort things out in here and expect that something good will happen out there? Who agrees? A few people. Think about it. Many years ago, a social scientist, Margaret Mead, said that whenever there have been positive changes in the world, it's only been because a handful of committed individuals have made a difference and things have changed and moved in a more positive direction. And I believe that this time that we're passing through now is a little bit crazy, and in such crazy times we have to decide, which direction do I want to go in? Many of you will remember, maybe some of you will remember, in 1987, 88, around then, there was a huge, huge storm, and it felled millions of trees across Great Britain. Many are nodding. I was in London, and it was Thursday afternoon, where the sky became dark and the storm started, and the weather forecaster had given us no warning of this at all. And so it was quite a surprise. And it wasn't just for a few hours, starting Thursday afternoon. It went on through the night, the whole of Friday, until around Friday afternoon things calmed down. It was a very noisy storm. And Saturday morning I had to go to a conference in Regent's Park, and I couldn't get through on any telephone, and so I decided to go there anyway. I was driving through Regent's Park to get to the place, and at first the road was okay, but then I couldn't go any further because the trees had fallen and they were scattered all over the road. And so I headed back. But afterwards there was of course the discussion, how come this had happened and had been no warning about it? None of the forecasters had been able to tell us. And what they concluded was that it was a combination of hot and cold coming together in the Gulf Stream, and as a result of two very different pressures and temperatures, the storm had reached our shores. And it tells me that when there's a lot of upheaval, it's an indication of two different energies coming together. And so on the one side we see the descending energy, the energy of violence, the energy of division, of polarization, of breakdown, all these documented and not just documented, we see them happening in front of our eyes all the time. But there's another energy also, and that's even more powerful. At the moment it's very quiet, it's incognito. The negative forces, the descending forces are loud, and so they attract attention. But there's another very quiet energy that's also working, which is an ascending energy. And that energy is the energy of people who feel it's time for change, it's time to have peace, it's time to come together as a human family, it's time to think about values and how we can have values come back into our lives. It's people who believe that we can do something about the environment. And so this very powerful, different energy is also working. And I believe that the combination of these two forces is creating this chaos, but I believe also that this energy of love, of truth, of light is the energy that's very powerful, and it's ascending and is getting more powerful day by day. And I believe this is the energy that we can collaborate with, and we can move towards a better world. In fact, the vision I have is a vision of hope. Why? Because the original state of the human soul is of goodness. Who agrees? Beautiful. Clap for yourselves. Really, it is beautiful. Because so often people say they lost hope, they feel helpless, they feel hopeless. But here I'm seeing a gathering in which many indicated that we believe that the origin of the human species is of goodness, and that's the original state of being. And so when I say Om Shanti, Om, I am, Shanti, peace. I am the being of peace. Just reflect and feel it for a moment. When my mind is peaceful, what do I feel? I feel comfortable. I feel okay. I feel safe. When I'm not peaceful, when I'm peaceless, I'm restless, I'm confused. Not only is my mind confused when I'm peaceless, but my body is reacting to that also. My blood pressure is going crazy, my heartbeat is racing, things that are not quite right with the body are happening. And so mind and body both reflect that peace is a state of being which is natural and comfortable. And peacelessness And worse than that, violence is a state that is not natural, very uncomfortable, and something that my body reacts to also. Not any peace, but think about love. When you're in an atmosphere of love, and as the choir was singing, I could feel the bond of love and respect amongst all of you that created this beautiful sound of harmony that we all enjoyed so much. So when there's love, again, we feel comfortable, we feel happy. When there's respect, again the same. And so think about all the positive attributes. When you're in company with somebody you know your lives top to bottom, or even a little bit from time to time, you're a bit uncomfortable, you don't know where you stand. But when you know somebody's honest, you can relax, let your shoulders drop, let the tension go away, and you know you're safe. And so, whenever there are the positive, pure qualities, we feel comfortable, we feel happy, and we feel that's how things should be. Is it possible for us to be able to have that inner power and be able to develop ourselves in such a way that it's those positive attributes that shine, and to take such power that we're able to remove the negativity first from within ourselves, and then through example, not by preaching, but by example, show others that a life of happiness, a life of peace, a life of love is possible, and it's possible to eradicate negativity, because the original state of the human spirit is of goodness. The scriptures tell us that we were created in the image of the divine, and it's not just the Bible, the Testament, but it's also the scriptures of the East that tell us the same thing. We were created in the image of the divine, and so those divine attributes are there within us. So what happened? How do we not connect with them? Where do these attributes lie? These attributes lie within the human spirit. They're not in my hands or my feet or my kidneys or my lungs. They're there in the human spirit. And over a period of time, especially over the last few hundred years, we put spirit on the back burner and we put the body as the basis for everything. When we think about this word, materialism, it's connected totally to matter. And so this body is another interesting sound that's coming through now. I don't know where that's coming from. So this body is matter, the human is this, but the being is the spirit. And when I think about spirit and matter coming together, the human being, that's when life works and we express ourselves, we communicate and we work together. But when we forget about spirit and we just think of only matter, this is when materialism, consumerism, and all the resultant things that happen as a result of that come in. And when you were singing about pain and sorrow in the world, it's true. But instead of walking, can I fly? Can I allow the soul to be able to rise above all the pain and sorrow and come back to its original understanding of who I am? And in that awareness of spirit, knowing that this is who I am, then in that awareness, yes, I'm using the body, but now I'm using it with the consciousness of being the master of the body. And in that way, what happens is that the qualities of the spirit are able to be expressed. And what I'm doing through this amazing human form, a very precious gift from the divine, from nature, I'm using this to express all those qualities of the spirit. When I forget about spirit, the qualities are disconnected I don't have access to them, which is why we keep looking for peace. And peace is left in pieces. We're looking for love, and sometimes we think that a business contract, you give me this, I give you this. That's not love, that's a contract. Love is unconditional, love is truly forgiving, love is truly that which is above the exchange of just simple give and take. It's not business. But we forget about those things when we just get caught up in this. And so spirituality is very simple. Living a life, but a life filled with the qualities of the Spirit. So connecting with my own spiritual identity as a being of light, a soul that's occupying this material body. But in this awareness, connected with who I am, I'm able to share happiness and love and truth and joy, because these are the natural qualities of the soul. And from one to another, to another, to another, it can grow. If you have one and you add many, many zeros, it multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And so just one and connected with each other, that power of peace, the power of truth can surely multiply. And that is the vision I hope you will hold in your hearts and in your minds when you leave this program tonight. How do I connect? Firstly, by understanding this, that's all. I understand I am spirit, but also I reflect on that, even if it's just a few minutes each day, to the point where I'm able to allow that awareness not just to sit with me for a few minutes, but for many minutes, and then not just many minutes, but through the day. And when I look at you, I see you also, not as strangers, but I see you as that shining light that's there in your forehead, light that's able to spread peace and truth. And when I connect with you, I connect soul to soul. And in that awareness, truly, we can once more come into that awareness of being a world family. When I see you with these two eyes, there are 1,000 differences. Color, not just color of skin, color of hair, color of my eyes, everything, but also your clothes, that's different. Your style, it's different. Your food is different, your culture is different, everything is different, different, different. And so there's many, many barriers that come in between us. When I see you as the soul, then I see my brother, brother to brother, sister to sister. But when I see the soul, yes, I accept that there's differences, but the differences are part of the beauty. You see these flowers, different colors, different shapes, different sizes, but they come together and they look beautiful. And so the human family, many, many differences, which is beautiful. Diversity has its own beauty, but the connecting point is the soul. And not only the soul, but the qualities that are there inside the soul. Think about a wheel, and if you stand here and I stand here, and we look across the divide, we see those differences, different everything. But if you go on an inner journey, and I go on an inner journey, we meet together at the center point. And at the center point, there are two things that are the same. One, the values we all share. We ran a program many years ago. I can date it, it was from 1988 through to 91. And over that period of time, that program ran across 128 countries, and it's documented. And it might be perhaps the largest research project ever undertaken by a non-governmental organisation. And we asked 3 questions. What is your vision of a better world? What is your vision of relationships in that better world? What is your vision of yourself in that better world? 3 questions, and there was a golden rule. We asked people not to use negative language, only use positive language. And we would have small groups meet together to discuss this. Do you know, it took maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes for a group of 6 people to change their language and make it positive. For example, they'd say, a world without war. Well, what's the opposite of that? A world of peace. Or they'd say, a world with good health, a world free from disease. They'd use this expression, a world free from disease. Well, what's the other side? Good health, a world of good health. So it would literally take 20 minutes, 30 minutes for people to change their language, but they'd get it. And what they came up with, and it took us 6 months, a group of 40 people in Mount Abu, people from all across the world, so that we were using people who knew the local language, not people who had learned it as a second language, so that they could get the detail of what people were saying. And we went through all the answers that had come, and I can summarize the result of that, the vision that people shared in one word: values. They all spoke about a world of values. That's it. They didn't ask for bigger houses in my better world. They didn't ask for anything like that. They asked for a world based on values, relationships based on values, my better self also values. And so I know that what people really want are values, but how do you get them? Simply by knowing that values are there within me, and I need to give myself a little bit of time, a little bit of space, and to feel who I am, and to connect with the values that I carry inside of me. While my attention is focused outside, I have no time to look inside and connect with those values. But a little bit of time, a little bit of attention, I can see that, yes, these are the qualities that are within the soul. And of course, one more thing, apart from just reflecting on myself and my own identity, to be able to reflect on the divine. And by whatever name it is, I know the divine, it's fine. To know that that being is also a being of light. The image of light has been remembered throughout the ages in all traditions, and so light is a symbol of that supreme being. And so then I have the awareness of the inner being of light, and I connect with the source of light, of love, and all positive qualities. That experience of connection and relationship awakens that experience of the qualities that I carry within myself also. Not difficult, very easy, but a switch from thinking of my identity as this to thinking of my identity as that being of light. And yes, appreciation of this amazing vehicle, this chariot that I have, but knowing that the power that's driving this chariot is this inner being. But today, when I want to change things outside in the world, it's not going to happen. It hasn't happened. We've tried and tried and tried again. But when I change my awareness within and connect with the values that I carry in the self, then yes, I have the answers. Then I know what I need to do outside, and definitely the world outside will change. If it sounds simple, it is. Whenever there's a very complex situation, people around and around and up and down, and finally you realize that there's a very simple solution. So I believe that's where we're at in our story of humanity now at this moment. So the descending energy will do its own work, but the power of the ascending energy has to come together and express itself. Let's experiment with this idea of going in and connecting. Again, it's very simple. You don't have to sit on the floor. You don't have to stand on your head. Just sit comfortably. Maybe the best way is to let both feet rest on the ground so that the body is balanced and the back straight. And I'll speak out my own thoughts. And we'll have just a few minutes in which we can experiment. I invite you to follow these ideas in your own mind. Sitting quietly, reflecting on the things I've heard. I experiment with this idea. Who am I? Is it possible that I am a being of light? Let me visualize this. A spark of light in the center of the forehead, a living force, a being, an energy driving this body. I go inside myself, going deeper and deeper within. And I find that sacred space where only I can enter. A space of silence, of peace, and I hold peace in my mind. It feels natural and comfortable. And in this awareness, I can sense the presence of the source, the being of light is the ocean, the source of love, of peace, of truth, of joy. And in this presence, rays of peace reach me. But they also extend further. Not only to those in this room, but from the source, the rays of peace reach out to the entire human family. And those who are ready are able to catch those vibrations. And the rays of peace reach out to all species, all forms of life, presence of peace restores harmony, so that not only the elements were in harmony together again, but they work in harmony with humans also. And the power of peace from the source restores peace to the planet and all within it. Holding this peace in my awareness, my thoughts come back to the moment here and now. But I carry this peace with me, so that it informs all that I do. Om Shanti.